Welcome back to another episode of Between the Numbers Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Daryl, and I want to give a quick shout out to everyone who has continually supported the channel by tuning in and engaging with me in the comment section. I just want to say continue to like, and for the ones who's not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that bell notification button so you can stay up to date on all the latest videos that I drop here on the channel. All right, so we're diving into LSU, but on the defensive side of the ball. Mainly, we're talking about the defensive backs, right? So to recap to last year, LSU defense was terrible. They was terrible in every category. They couldn't do anything right. They couldn't break up a pass. They couldn't get turnovers. They couldn't get sacks. They was just terrible. They was literally at the bottom and everything. But, Brian Kelly was not effing around this offseason. He let Matt House go. He let a bunch of defense assistants go. And he pretty much flipped that whole defense, right? So he brought back the godfather of DBU, right? Corey Raymond doesn't need to be introduced. We all know some of the players that Corey Raymond have coached and put in the NFL, right? Brought him back from Florida. He's back. Got a stud that's coaching the safeties, right? And, Blake Baker's coaching the defense as a whole, right? He's the defensive coordinator. And so Brian Kelly let all of the fans know that, listen, we're trying to get LSU's defense back to, that old swagger. It's crazy to think that in years past, I never worried about LSU's defensive backfield, right? Like I remember, quarterbacks throwing the ball deep. You know how the camera is when a quarterback throw the ball and then the camera pans right to the wide receiver catching the ball. And it always seemed like LSU's defensive backs was either breaking up the pass or getting an interception. I never had any worries about, our defensive backfield. And then upwards of about 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, like every time a quarterback drops back and throw the ball, you're like, damn. And most times, the wide receivers, catching the ball and, running down the field or converting the first down, or it'll be like 3rd and 15, and then that goes another defensive back giving up a first down on a long down. You know what I mean? And I had indigestion watching Florida State wide receivers kill LSU in that game last year, right? I had indigestion, man. It was terrible. But Brian Kelly has the coaching staff in house. It's just whether or not this coaching staff can put these guys in the right position. Now, look, LSU has a lot of talent. And what I mean by talent is they have a lot of guys that have played some quality times and quality snaps, whether they was transfers and so they played at another school or they've been on this LSU team. Just listen to some of the guys, right? You got Javion Toviano, right? If I'm saying that, Toviano, right? He played last year, started a few games. Ashton Stamps played last year, started a few games. You got Major Burns, right? Look like Major Burns is going to be playing that star position that Blake Baker brought over with him with his defense, right? Per Brian Kelly. And Major Burns has been on this team forever. He's a key vet. You got J.K. Johnson. He's the Ohio State transfer. He played a little bit at Ohio State. You got Jardine Gilbert, right? He's a key vet. He came from Texas A&M. He played a lot at Texas A&M, a key vet. You got Sage Ryan, right? So if you've been paying attention to what's going on with LSU in the spring, Sage Ryan has been going crazy. His one of the practices a few days ago, he had 3 interceptions, right? Sage Ryan has been going crazy. Brian Kelly done an interview recently, and he was bragging about how well Sage Ryan has been playing. Sage Ryan has moved back to safety. Previously LSU was just kind of like having to play cornerback, having to play nickel. And so they put him back at safety, and it seems like he's really, really shining and excelling at safety, the position that LSU recruited him at anyways out of high school. So it's great to hear good things about Sage Ryan in the spring. But Sage Ryan has been around. You got Jair Brown, right? He's the Ohio State transfer. He also played quality snaps at Ohio State, started a few games, right? And then you got Zay Alexander, right? He's a returning starter. He got injured last year versus Army for the rest of the season. He's coming back, right? So you got a lot of guys. You got a lot of guys in this defensive room, right? This defensive backfield, right? And that's not even some of the freshmen that's coming in, right? Because some of those freshmen that's coming in might be some diamonds in the rough, might be some guys that's gonna get on the field and contribute. We don't know yet, but LSU has a lot of guys, you know, in his defensive backfield, some guys that we heard of a whole lot, and some guys that's played a lot of quality football. And it's just whether or not Corey Raymond can get every inch of talent out of these guys and put these guys in the right position to make plays for this LSU team, because it doesn't matter how good your offense is if your defense can't stop a cold, right? And that just seems like that was LSU's defense last year. The worst historical performance probably of all times as a whole by this LSU defense. So, I don't think they can't be any worse, right? When you hit rock bottom, the only way out is up, right? The only way they can go from last year is up. That's the only way they can go is up, right? Now, is DBU back, right? Is defensive back university back this season? I'm gonna say I'm gonna wait and see. Right? Well, I'm gonna say no, they're not back, but they're under construction and DBU is in progress, right? They're going to be better this year. This defensive secondary is going to be way better than what it was last year. I named out the guys that's in this defensive backfield. You got the two corner. You got some guys coming back from injury. One of the transfers from Ohio State. You got another transfer from Ohio State. You got some guys that's play quality snaps. So you got some guys. You got a good nucleus, right? Brian Kelly, Blake Baker, Corey Raymond, they just got to find some dogs, right? They got to find some dogs that's going to be that starting defensive backfield. And then you got to find some guys who can fill the depth, right? So if a guy is tired or a guy gets hurt, that guy can come right on in and you don't even blink. You don't even miss a beat. That's how it used to be with LSU, right? You had guys all across you had guys all over that defensive backfield, right? And you just didn't even, whenever you saw a ball being thrown, you're just like, oh, it's going to be a pass. That's going to be a pass breakup, or that's going to be an interception. Now, last season when a quarterback threw the ball, you had to hold your breath because you just knew that it was going to be a touchdown or a very long, explosive big play. And so DBU is in progress. I fully believe that Corey Raymond is going to restore DBU to what it used to be. And if you go and look at the recruiting, right, look at the guys who they're bringing in next season in 2025. Look at some of the guys that's showing up for visits and, coming on campus, right? Big time. I'm going to say it again, big time cornerback and defensive back recruits. And it's just the Corey Raymond effect, right? It's just the Corey Raymond effect. So DBU is under construction. It's going to be back, not this season, but it's coming back. It's under construction and it's loading. But the defensive backfield will be better this season coming up. And what a great opportunity to show that it's on the way back than versus USC on the big stage in Las Vegas. So that is it for me. LSU fans, let me know in the comment section below, is DBU back? Is it loading? Is it under construction? Is it never going to be back? Let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, it's Daryl from Between the Numbers Sports Show and Podcast. I'm out.